In the 14th century, historical scholarship functioned as a subdiscipline of theology. Its primary metric for truth was the isnad, or the chain of transmitters. This methodology relied on a single assumption. If the scholars in the transmission chain were deemed men of honest character, their historical claims were accepted as fact, regardless of how absurd the actual event described. Ibn Khaldun challenged this framework by separating the character of the narrator from the reality of the report. He argued that the historical event itself, the khabar, must be tested independently of the people narrating it. Under his new criteria, claims were subjected to the hard constraints of reality. A historian must test narratives against physical geography, biological limits, and economic rules, a matrix he called the nature of civilization. By shifting the standard of proof from the narrator's character to the event's physical possibility, Ibn Khaldun introduced a method of historical inquiry grounded in observation rather than dogma. Trained as a rigorous legal jurist, Khaldun took the strict parameters of forensic evidence and applied them backward in time. In the Muqaddimah, he sought to move beyond recounting the past and instead isolate the underlying operational rules of human social organization. He named this new science Umran, or world civilization. The goal was to create a miyar, a benchmark of reality to measure the validity of any historical narrative. Before building this framework, he set out to prove the old methods were broken by systematically attacking the most famous, widely accepted historical myths of his era. Khaldun utilizes negative constraints. He forces the reader to understand what civilization must be by rigorously proving what it cannot be. This manuscript discusses a widely accepted myth of his day, promoted by famous historians like al-Masudi, the claim that a 600,000-strong Israelite army wandered the desert. Khaldun applies his first method of verification, physical geography. He isolates the specific physical space where this supposedly happened, the Sinai Peninsula. This map shows the footprint of 600,000 men, plus camp followers and livestock. Compared to the actual square mileage, the mass spills far over the Sinai's borders. Tactically, they cannot maneuver. Deployed into battle lines, the troops are physically incapable of communicating. Geography and military logistics set hard, unbreakable limits. Human numbers cannot outscale physical space. Moving to his second metric, this text shows Khaldun applying the biological limits of human reproduction to the exact same myth. He outlines the lineage data accepted within the Torah itself, pointing out that Moses is only 4 generations removed from the original patriarch, Jacob. This creates a demographic contradiction. A starting population of 70 individuals entering Egypt cannot mathematically reproduce into 600,000 combat-ready men in just 4 generations. Traditional historians often relied on the miracle argument to explain this. Khaldun rejects this, arguing that historians cannot use continuous, invisible divine intervention to excuse bad math or patch holes in their political timelines. By subjecting ancient populations to the biological reproduction rates observed in the present, Khaldun demonstrates that history obeys natural laws rather than mythological inflation. He then shifts this rigor to the sudden massacre of the powerful Barmakit family in the Abbasid court. Many historians relied on a gossip model, claiming Caliph Harun al-Rashid destroyed the family out of a jealous rage over a secret romance between his sister and his minister, Jafar. Khaldun rejects this theory on sociological grounds. The strict Arab noble lineage practices and societal customs of the era would never permit such an alliance with Persian administrators.
This page of text details Khaldun's structural alternative. The true cause of the massacre was the Barmakids' dangerous monopoly on statecraft and taxation. The Barmakids hoarded state tax revenue and strategically appointed family members to all high-level offices. They effectively created a parallel state that circumvented the caliph entirely. This parasitic power structure was a lethal threat to the sovereignty of the state. Their execution was a matter of cold political necessity. History is driven by the mechanics of political economy and structural power, not the salacious court gossip of kings. Having cleared away the myths, Ibn Khaldun establishes the bedrock axioms of his sociology. He asks a mechanical question: why do these complex political structures exist in the first place? This passage outlines his biological starting point. Unlike animals, individual humans lack natural weapons like claws or thick hides. We cannot procure food or survive predator attacks alone. Because humans possess hands and thought, survival demands organized cooperation, or al-ijtima. Social organization is a strict biological necessity. This creates a paradox. While cooperation is mandatory for survival, human nature inherently contains aggression and a desire to dominate others. This tension necessitates wazi, a restraining authority. Without a central, coercive power, innate human aggression will cause the society to destroy itself from within. Within this framework, sovereignty functions as a structural mechanism required to compel obedience and prevent societal collapse. Human vulnerability forces cooperation. Human aggression forces submission to a sovereign. These twin engines generate all forms of human civilization. Ibn Khaldun maps this necessity for sovereignty across time. To explain societal allusion, he utilizes grammatical metaphors from Arabic linguistics. The mubtada, the grammatical subject, is Badawa. This is the harsh, nomadic desert civilization focused on survival. The khabar, the grammatical predicate, is Hadada, the urban, cosmopolitan civilization that follows. The bridge between them is asabiya, or group solidarity, the intense social cohesion forged by desert life. The cycle is continuous. A nomadic group with high asabiya conquers a city, establishes a dynasty, and brings vigorous new leadership to the state. As the conquerors settle into urban luxury, their asabiya dissolves. They become soft and rely on mercenaries, until the dynasty rots and a new peripheral tribe overthrows them. Empires are organic systems with a natural lifespan, dictated entirely by their fluctuating levels of social cohesion. Managing this inevitable decay requires carefully constructed laws to regulate the sovereign's restraining authority. This section details why raw, tyrannical force is insufficient for maintaining sovereignty. Excessive violence destroys the military and ruins the populace's motivation to engage in economic production. Khaldun draws a sharp line between rational politics, laws designed purely for worldly stability, and religious laws, divine norms designed to guide both worldly success and spiritual salvation. As a jurist, he sought the perfect point of balance between the moral norms of religion and the ruthless, practical demands of statecraft and economics. His approach replaced the passive collection of stories with a predictive system of sociological measurement. Centuries before the formal disciplines of sociology or political science, the Muqaddimah provided a functional framework for analyzing the rise and fall of world civilizations. By binding the actions of kings and prophets to the limits of geography, economics, and biology, Ibn Khaldun demonstrated that the past is only useful when studied as a rigorous science of reality.